Good afternoon. I am VANSSA Thomas with the 12 o'clock news on the street, 919 FM and online, Facebook and YouTube. In the headlines, the Communication Workers Union makes it clear that it did not agree with TSTT sending home workers despite what a media release said. Venezuelans continue to speak out on the exploitation they experience in TNT. The Fire Officers Association makes it known that they will reject the CPO's 4% salary increase offer for an 8-year period, and internationally the U.S. Federal Reserve to announce historic rate hike. And now the news in detail. The Communication Workers Union says it did not agree with TSTT to send home workers. The union is making this clear after TSTT issued a release saying both parties came to an agreement that will allow the organization to continue with its retrenchment exercise. Union Secretary General Clyde Elder sets the record straight as he says TSTT's media release was very misleading.
Let me set the record very straight and make it abundantly clear. The Communication Workers Union has not agreed nor accepted that a restructuring and a retrenchment is indeed warranted in TSTT.
Last month, TSTT announced that it was sending home over 400 workers in a restructuring exercise effective June 1st. The CWU filed an injunction in the industrial court objecting to this, saying TSTT failed to lawfully provide 45 days notice to the union and the employees. According to the union, TSTT asked for an opportunity to be heard. However, before the hearing, the attorneys of TSTT reached out to the union's lawyers and said they wanted to adhere to the law. This means workers will remain employed until July 15th instead of June 1st, as initially stated. Elder said he wanted to make it very clear that this does not mean the union has agreed with the retrenchment of any of its members. He assured that the CWU will continue to fight for its members and added that it is very important to make the correction that the union agrees with TSTT in retrenching workers. Elder noted that while some workers are happy to take the retrenchment package and go, others have been having suicidal thoughts.
We have those who are on the brink of having suicidal thoughts.
The union, meanwhile, also sent letters to the Labour Minister and TSTT stating all the reasons why they disagree with the retrenchment.
The union rejects and objects and disagrees with any retrenchment of our members in the bargaining unit.
In other news, it has been 3 years since many Venezuelans fled their country for a better life in Trinidad and Tobago, but it has not been a bed of roses as many now want to return home. Venezuelan activist Angie Ramnarine of the La Remain Migrant Support Group says many Venezuelans have returned home already.
The pandemic would have affected a large swathe of that population as well. And so many of them are in irregular work or have opted not only to leave our shores to go back to Venezuela, but perhaps as a in-transit point to other destinations within Latin America, Central America, North America, and perhaps Europe.
It has meant a lot of troubles for us because sometimes we work, but we cannot open an account. We don't have access to education, to public education, and to have even private education, we're supposed to have a special permit.
In more news, President of the Fire Officers Association, Leo Ramkasoon, says if the CPO plans to offer them 4% today, it already knows how they feel about it. The CPO proposed the 4% increase for the years 2014 to 2019, but that percentage is being described as disrespectful.
It is quite disrespectful. I don't believe it would be accepted.
Ramkasoon says when the 2% offer was put on the table on May 19th, the unions already knew what that meant.
4% is exactly what we would have feared from the start when you start off with a 2%.
Ramkasoon says his members are asking for 15%. However, the association will go into the meeting with an open mind. Meanwhile, TUTA has also voiced its view on the 2% being offered and said that offer is not sitting well with them either. Antonia Tika de Freitas, president of TUTA, says given the current cost of living, what is being offered is not enough.
I would say, and TUTA would say, and unions would say, that even that quantum is not enough to allow the worker in whatever sector to survive given the current cost of living.
TUTA is hoping for a better outcome, but noted that given the current circumstances, it may not get exactly what it wants. Internationally, the U.S. Federal Reserve is expected to raise its benchmark rate by 0.75 of a point, the largest increase since 1994, in an effort to stave off inflation. ABC News tells us more in this report.
This morning, more experts are increasing the likelihood of a recession in the near future.
The odds of a recession are going up. Most economists now believe there's a 50% chance we'll get a recession in the next 12 to 18 months.
On Tuesday, the Labor Department reported producer prices rose 10.8% last month compared to the same time last year. Those wholesale prices reflect inflation before it reaches consumers. Today, the Federal Reserve is expected to boost the cost of borrowing again in hopes of slowing down the economy, possibly hiking interest rates by 0.75%, the highest jump since 1994.
Everyone can agree that this inflation is very painful and it has to come down. So the only way of doing that is getting those interest rates up and slowing the growth rate in the economy.
Meanwhile, mortgage rates have now hit 6%, and car loans about to get more expensive too. So are the sticker prices. New cars are now averaging more than $47,000.
Although the prices are up for May, it's only 1%. And so what that indicates is that as the increases start to become smaller and smaller, we may be headed toward a place where the prices will start to decrease. But still, it's a very high number.
Gas prices nationwide are averaging more than $5 a gallon. Prices in some areas, like West Virginia, skyrocketed 28 cents in just the last week. The White House blames Russia's war in Ukraine and pandemic supply chain bottlenecks for the high prices. President Biden yesterday pushed back at his critics who say his administration's spending policies, including pandemic stimulus funds, fueled this inflation.
I don't want to hear any more of these lies about reckless spending. We're changing people's lives.
Louisiana Senator John Kennedy reacting, tweeting President Biden is right. 40-year high inflation, formula shortages, and $5 gas are changing lives.
And that was the 12 o'clock news on the street, 919 FM, and online, Facebook and YouTube. Recapping the headlines, the Communication Workers Union makes it clear that it did not agree with TSCT sending home workers, despite what a media release said. Venezuelans continue to speak out on the exploitation they experience in TNT. The Fire Officers Association makes it known that it will reject the CPO's 4% salary increase offer for an 8-year period, and internationally, the U.S. Federal Reserve to announce historic rate hike. Do enjoy your afternoon and continue to be safe. I am Vanessa Thomas.